Today we're going to take a look at the RPG build, which can deal up to an excess of 50 million damage per rocket, and will grant you infinite ammo. If you want to do quick expeditions or trial runs, you should definitely try this build out. It's a blast, pun intended. The way we're playing it is you'll have a lot of crowd control and survivability covered, plus a high damage output, and this even splash damages enemies. Even if you're surrounded, you can just shoot down at your feet and clear all of those enemies around you nice and easily. I will be listing a beginner budget build later in the video too, so if you're new to Worldslayer or you just don't have the right gear, this may suit your preferences until you're suited and booted with all the new armors and god rolls and whatever else you might need to optimize your build. I'll also put in gameplay at the end of the video to show how fast this build can go in different areas of trials and expeditions, to help give a greater understanding on how to play the build most efficiently and get some fantastic times down. Welcome to Stakes Gaming, I'm Dake and I'll be taking you through this RPG guide today. If you like the video, smash the like button, and if you want to keep up to date with all the new builds coming out, consider subscribing with the bell notification on. So let's touch on the abilities that we're going to be using. Cold Snap, this is going to apply freeze, and as this is a gadget skill, it will inflict toxic to enemies through lethal devices. Fixing Wave, this is going to heal you for 66% and also heals your allies, including your turrets. As this is also a gadget skill, it will also inflict toxic on enemies. Tools of Destruction, RPG will deal damage off your anomaly power, so you'll want to get this as high as you can to maximize your damage. Moving on to the class tree, we're looking at picking up anomaly power nodes, freeze damage and duration, reducing the cooldown on gadget abilities, and marking enemies with vulnerable through toxic, as lethal devices applies this each time a gadget skill is used. So hear me out, we're missing a 30% bump of anomaly power, and this is just because we want that infinite ammo and survivability from Fixing Wave. While the 30% anomaly power is important, being able to get through a map speedily and safely is also very important. Let me know what you think when you try it out. I want your feedback. Does this work for you? On our Pax Tree, we're hitting the top bottom tree, so we can take advantage of the 100% damage from status power. So we'll take Initial Striker for the 10% anomaly power boost for 5 seconds on skill activation. Lethal Devices for applying toxic to enemies when using gadget skills. Painkiller for some health regen, however I don't rate this highly, so it's just there. Break Their Ranks, which is an interrupt skill. If you don't know what effect resistance is, this is where enemies aren't able to have statuses applied to them. So like when you have a broodmother or an alpha that goes armored, this protects them from any sort of status that stops them from moving. This node negates that from the enemy, so it can be very helpful when facing certain enemy types. Depleted Core increases our ordnance skill damage by 100% of our status power. This is significant. The difference for me is 3 million damage, and I'm missing a piece of gear which could have added more status to it. Also keep in mind, the weapon you have equipped still counts towards attributes, so do ensure to have that weapon with status on it when you activate rockets, as you will be missing out on a lot of damage otherwise. On our Ascension tree, we're prioritizing anomaly and prowess nodes mainly. Status power, cooldown reduction, anomaly power, anomaly damage primarily, but if you have the points to spend, just copy my tree as best you can and you'll be ready to go. When it comes to weapons and armor, your main priority is finding anomaly and status power on them, preferably cooldown reduction too. The lower your cooldown, the more you can spam Cold Snap, and this will make a big difference because you'll always have the map under control. Anomaly power and status power feed directly into your overall damage output, but also keep everything in place as well. You do not need a specific set for this to work. You can go all purples if you have the right rolls, but for ease of use, let's quickly discuss the armor we're using. There are some mods I would change, but this comes down to poor RNG for the rolls that I need personally. On my helmet, I'm running one that has anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction. This is the theme we want to look at throughout all of our gear to min-max the build. I'm using Rocketman, Anomaly Echo and Painful Chill. If I was able to, I would change out Painful Chill with a mod which would boost my anomaly power, such as Danger Close. While this is preferable, the mod itself does help clear the smaller enemies through damage over time. On the chest we've got the same target attributes, and the mods we're running are Party Starter, Quartermaster and Damage Absorber. Party Starter helps increase the strength of the heal. Quartermaster is very important, as this is going to replenish your ammo, and Damage Absorber will help keep you alive. It's a fantastic mod. On the legs we've got most of the target attributes, but skill life leech is important too, as we're dealing damage with our skills, so it will increase our healing. We're running the mods Special Delivery for the explosion radius increase of 33%. Icicle Storm is clutch, as this is what wipes enemies out incredibly quickly when using Cold Snap. Shatter is multiplicative and will provide a very nice buff to all damage against enemies afflicted with freeze, which happens every 7 seconds. On the gloves we've hit status power and anomaly power again, but hitting received isn't that important. We've gone with Euthanizer, Radical Therapy and Demolition Man. This is pretty close to a god roll. 24% extra damage against enemies afflicted with Toxic on them, and 2.5 mil extra damage from each rocket at my current level. On the boots we have all the right attributes, but the mods are lacking a bit. Face Melter is a dead mod on this build, but would be good if you did this with a build which had Blighted Turret. Captain Hunter bumps damage against elites by 16%, and Cold Purification removes statuses and gives you and your team immunity from negative statuses for 3 seconds, which can be quite useful, however it is easily replaceable with something better. So let's move on to how to play this build, and it's really quite simple. You're going to be activating your RPG and spamming your abilities to keep the 40% anomaly power bonus up. Constantly spamming these skills will keep you replenished on your ammo, but you may also need to keep an eye on your rockets so you don't run out, as when you do, the cooldown can be a real pain in the ass. You want to make sure that you're in the middle of the action when you use Cold Snap, because you want to affect as many enemies as possible. Placement is really important. Also, try and bunch them up as close together as you can, so Icicle Storm does a ton of damage and you're just going to clear those enemies so quickly. The best builds are ones that require hardly any effort, so have fun and enjoy it, and let me know exactly what you think of it. Anyway, as I said at the beginning of the video, there is a budget version of this build, and what makes it good is the fact that you're going to be dealing 90% damage against frozen enemies. Getting gear with the right rolls can be very frustrating, and what you're going to want to do is find 3 pieces of the Borealis set: the helmet, chest and pants. The gloves and boots need to have status, anomaly power and cooldown reduction on them, with a T1 or T2 mod that will complement the build style, such as Long Winter, Freeze Boost, etc. They don't need to be Apocalypse gear, so you can vendor farm if necessary, but Apocalypse gear is recommended for the extra mods that are rolled on. We would switch up the class tree to look like this, utilizing all freeze nodes, vulnerable and its effectiveness, cooldown reduction, etc. Just copy this tree and you'll be good to go. The Pax Tree also remains the same, so there's nothing to do there. This enables you to play the build style, even as a new player, until you get the roles which are suitable for you. Anyway guys, that wraps up the build video. I'll leave some footage of expedition runs, and if you do want to analyse how I do things, it might help you improve the way that you play, so definitely take a look. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you soon, and enjoy the gameplay.